early 2025, early May 2025, with the Lovelocks of Sunninghill. Rough cut photo trails and video clips. Yes, I'm shooting this with my smartphone because the cameras don't work very well. Anyhow, this is where we live at 22 Armitage Court in Sunninghill, with warning signs about fierce guard cats. You may see some, certainly on the photo trails. This spot was called Robin's Corner from the late 80s, where GPS was tested. Down at this spot here, yes, there's the garden sculpture that June got Robin for a birthday present several years ago. And there's the oak tree that sprung up from an acorn years ago. And yes, there's the owl box, which owls haven't taken up in, but the guard cats have taken an interest. There's Snoopy's robot boat that no chance to do any work on that in recent months. That's Snoopy the Viking. And coming down the drive, yes, here's June's car. Promotion of the website gpss.co.uk. It was a business years ago and is now hobbies like the robot boat to cross the Atlantic and charitable causes. So we come down here. Some of this stuff some people would have seen before, but yeah, that was one of the projects, which is accommodation for the guard cats. That was fort number 1. Oh yes, there's armed mice as well. You've got to watch out. But we have warning signs everywhere. Beware of the mouse, or mices it should be. There's another cat fort up there. Yes, everything's growing. It's now, what is it, middle of May? Yeah, so coming to the front porch, I just heard the door slam on me, so I've got to try and open the door in a minute. But I'll point out the camper that was used to take Snoopy's robot boat down to the coast, south coast, for an attempt on the Atlantic. Battle damage. June said Robin did it. Robin said the wall did it, but the wall is okay. Right, yes, you see, work has been ongoing, and we come into the front porch, and there's yeah, peanut feeders everywhere, need topping up. You'll see that. There's another camera down there. There's cameras everywhere, of course, and I have to point out warnings now, and I hasten to add, what I say are clearly only jokes, because people say, oh, you mustn't say that. So for example, it says CCTV, hidden TV cameras inside and out this house, inside and outside this house. Sound and video is monitored in local houses and elsewhere. No trespassing. Violators will be shot. Survivors will be shot again. Well, yeah, there's another camera there, many. And yeah, that's the flatulent fairy just there. Yeah, it was built for Christmas. It was going to go up a tree, but we got plenty of those. So, of warning signs, this is probably the more important one, because it's not just cameras. First point out my studies in there, and yes, there's more cameras there. Do not disturb. I'm disturbed enough already. And then this one, home of mad ex-NATO scientist Robin Lovelock, beware of web cameras and water squirters, loaded with water, paint, acid, DNA tracer or nerve agent. Robin would not be mad enough to test these. Or would he? Just a joke, of course. Right, I think it's safe to go into the house now. Yes, these other things, some of the photo trails show how they get knocked over by wildlife. The wildlife include all sorts of things, including foxes and including little fox cubs. Right, I managed to get my key out, so hopefully I can get into the house, and I hope it's safe. I'm not so sure about that, especially if cats are around. Right, so into the house, and oh yeah, it's the luggage, because June and Samantha only got back in the last hour from holiday in Greece, and yeah, so this is Robin's naughty corner, where I tend to relax, and you'll see that. And we're about to go out. You'll see June on the patio. Yes, all sorts of things on the screen. That was the tracker tracking June getting back from the airport. And now I'm going to go out onto the enormous amount of work I've been doing while they're away. Look, it's all lovely and tidy. Yes, we'll probably get some knowing looks from June. And so the pond, the photo trail shows the progress on that. And the main thing is, because the heron has been a big problem, we've got lots of different things to act as decoys and scarers for the heron. But the most important thing is we've got 2 cat forts. We're calling them pond forts. And Toady often likes to be in that one. In fact, I think he's in there at the moment. So let me have a look. Yes, there we go. It's quite difficult to see him. He disappears. But there's Toady. Hello, Toady. Yes. So, herons beware. Right, so I think I'll give you a quick glance at the garden, because I have done a load of work, and it's photo trails so much. There's some materials left there. There's my telescope. The optics were done when I was a boy. No chance to do any work on that. And so this, I tidied up the garden a bit, put an extra step here for the root round, and the breakthrough, if you call it that, is we still have the odd leak, but the key thing is we can go ahead with plants and fishes, because it only drops a couple of inches, and we'll probably fix that. But when it leaks, it comes out here, and then it flows down into the second pond, which is what it should do, because obviously all the water comes off the roof, should go into the first pond, overflows into the stream that runs down through here and into this pond, the second pond. And that's the Gunnerum anticarta, which is coming up, the giant rhubarb. In danger of tripping out over things here, because some gravel needs to be cut. And then when that pond overflows, it overflows down into a little reservoir for the bog garden. And then there's rubbish here. I might as well complete the trail while I'm about it. So yes, lots of area here, all a bit overgrown. So plenty of room for compost. Compost is probably the wrong word. It's mostly cut-ins we don't want. And yes, it's not sure whether this was a good idea or not. So that, I haven't had a chance to chop that up. Hopefully get help. And in fact, that's the junk heap. So this stuff needs to be, some stuff can be kept, but mostly be thrown away. And I may as well show you a glance that some tools, like blowers and odds and ends, are in there. And in fact, that's solar powered. There's there. So now working our way up the garden. And one of the reasons I put these videos together is to encourage helpers, handymen with lots of common sense. So if one, for example, needs a lawnmower, one only has to use one's eyes and look, and there's a lawnmower, there's a strimmer, a few other garden tools like spades and things. They're not locked away, and I think a complete idiot if somebody comes in to steal anything. Bug fort, or rather a bug palace. Another fort, that was cat fort number 2. And a memory of, you can hardly see it's brambles to be cut back, of young Gingy, one of their cats. There's the laboratory. No chance to tidy that up. Lots of places to put things, but no time yet to do it, and of course we need help doing that. Now this is the real breakthrough, done with Paul a year or 2 back, somewhere, I call it the workshop area. It's obviously covered, so we got the place for tools, yeah, including paint and all sorts of things. And yes, and tools including the vise and power. But there's still lots of work to put other tools we've got around into the right place. So just take a look around the back there. There we go. That's June's greenhouse. So, as I said, I think the general subject is called property maintenance. It's not easy stuff like gardening, which takes no time to mow the lawn, probably half an hour, including getting the tools out and putting them away. It's all the other things. Some things are technical, like cameras. Yes, plants are all coming up mad because this is middle of May now, and here we go. And not the whole house. Photo trails will show more. So we're getting back to the pond area, and June looking at various pictures and videos that were exchanged on WhatsApp with family. And so this is a bit tidier now, and that's the sort of work I've been doing in the last week while I've been on holiday. So now we're going to run into those photo trails for early May, and I warn you, there'll be long photo trails. Monday the 28th of April 2025. Starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Yeah, mostly related to work on the pond. Coming along nicely. Yeah, temperature 22 degrees centigrade, nice and warm. And of course that was the video for late April. Processing and everything else. Yeah, scrambled egg on toast, served up by Samantha. And listening to the Radio 4 News. And decided we'll take a trip to Dunkirk Nursery, and what a lovely visit that was. And yeah, just down the road, and Egham, and yeah, June drove of course, had the top down because it was lovely warm, and stopped in there, didn't take any pictures but it was absolutely lovely. And then on to Wicks, wasn't far away, got some more materials for the pond work. And then into Maidenhead Aquatics, yeah, got stuff there as well. And yeah, back home, loads of stuff. And yes, those end pieces make that guttering a useful source of material for making little trays for the pond. And that was Toady. I put the that little fort on top of Samantha's car, and he decided to check it out. Yeah, the tracker shows where we went, including getting back home. Yeah, so yeah, hot work on the pond, but very useful. Yeah, coming up to 20 then when that was taken. So we're getting a lot of the plants in. Ah yes, 2 arancini to eat, and yeah, that's when Samantha had got back from the tennis. She moved that fork from her car. Watching telly, yeah, that's time for bed and the end of the summary. So now in the photos in the order shot, there's a timestamp down in the bottom left you want to see. Yeah, 22 degrees centigrade, lovely and warm, which meant when I do use cement and stuff it dries more quickly. So a few snaps around the room. Oh yes, that was processing of the video, or setting it up to start processing. And yeah, scrambled egg on toast with salmon, listening to the Radio 4 News. And yes, how about a visit there, Dunkirk Nursery. And it was lovely speaking to the guy. And yeah, the origin of the name was the house that was there, and that was based on Dunkirk in the context of the First World War. Anyhow, there's Bentley checking out what we'd brought back, and yes, a bit blurred, but that's Snoopy the Viking, and that's a bit blurred too. And so looks like we're off on a journey now, and yes, past a few landmarks, Holloway College on the right, and yes, it's difficult to keep up. And then we've arrived, Dunkirk Nursery. So we go in and I had a lovely chat with a guy, and June had a good look round. Sometime since she'd been there, I think. Came back through Runnymede and into Wicks, and yeah, more materials, including those end pieces for the gutter, very useful. So then we're off again, probably on our way home, I expect. Yeah, through Runnymede, I think that is. And the pack horse, yeah, near Holloway College. Yes, there it is. Oh yes, American School as it used to be called, now called the International School, along the A30 towards Sunninghill. And yeah, that's the Wheatsheaf pub. Still coming along there, coming into Sunninghill, over the level crossing, keep going, and now swinging into Maidenhead Aquatics. And yeah, that was also good for stuff. So we come back home, and yes, past various places, into Armitage Court and back to number 22, and all that stuff we brought back, mostly plants but other materials as well, all to do with the pond. Yeah, so we get back, and yeah, you can see the time there, coming up to 5 o'clock, 1700, 22 degrees centigrade. Yeah, so now I made up some plant trays from that guttering, just in case of sawing off the lengths needed and putting those end pieces on. And then Toadie, I must be a bit naughty, he likes to sit on the top of Samantha's car, so I put that fork there and encouraged him, and sure enough he said, yeah, I quite like it in there. He's got a cushion, of course, so yeah, perhaps when I put it near the pond he'll check it out more. So that's looking at the track of where we went. Anybody could see looking on the tracker. So that is into Wicks at Staines, and that's Hilliers, or rather Maidenhead Aquatics. A bit blurred, that one. That's back home. Just here. Yeah, so more work there. So I just drilled some holes and put screws through, and that put the end pieces on. Oh yeah, there's Toadie relaxing. So very easy to make those plant containers. Yes. And yeah, so then pop them in the pond. Bit tricky, of course. Yeah, it's quite hot work, but got to be careful you don't fall over. So it looks like I've just put the tap on, so filling the pond now, 5 to 7 in the evening, coming up to 20 degrees centigrade. It's a depth gauge, not that you can tell very well. And yeah, 25 past 7 in the evening, and yeah, all the waters, things are working properly, all working as it should do. Yeah, it looks like the pond is just overflowing, so I can turn the tap off. And coming up to 7:30 in the evening, into Robbie's naughty corner, have a couple of arancini for evening dinner, and yeah, checking the pond still, seeing what the water level's like. A few snaps around the garden. Yeah, that's the looking for water coming out, and it does still come out, so there's still leaks there, but main thing is the water leaks and goes into the second pond. It looks like I'm going down the garden, past the Gunner Manticata, giant rhubarb, and that little garden feature, PII light, and a little gnome on the top. and down to the bog garden area, and then looking up from there. Yeah, so just a few snaps. You see everything's overgrown. Little bit of gardening needed, sort of cutting the lawn, but this is the more important work, which is getting that pond in a decent state, and so we can then put various ornaments in the right place. Samantha's got back and she says, "Oh, what's that catfolk doing on my car?" So she brings that and dumps it on the porch, and then they come in, having played tennis, and he thought, oh well, perhaps I better put it in its right place, so I'll put it next to the pond again. Oh yes, a few other odds and ends, and Toadie eating, then watching something on the telly, coming up to 9 o'clock, listening to the Radio 4 news again. Archie's watching some drama or other. Yes, that's the processing. Takes 12 hours. So, right, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 30th of April 2025, starting with a summary of the few photos shot, and there hadn't been any shot the day before, there wasn't time. Yes, I got myself a Doro phone on the right, yeah, much more suitable for pensioners. And yes, main thing was the good work on the pond the day before, which was, yeah, plants in, and also they arrived, little decoys, and found a good place to put them for the heron, and you could even see them on the closed circuit TV, so you could go and, oh, one's moved or gone. Down to the Comrades Club, no pictures. Check the tracker. Yes, anybody could see where I spent some time before getting back home. And time for bed, so that's the end of the summary. Now, in the photos the order shot, first thing I wanted to get a record of the fact that practically all the plants, yeah, primroses, marigolds, are in there, and they arrived, and so yeah, quickly found a place to put them on top of that perspex hide for the fishes from the heron. And what else? Yes, and on the closed circuit TV they show up nicely. That's useful. Yeah, put the peanuts out, getting later in the day now. Yeah, including the feeder on the front porch. Yes, sorry about that. And yeah, it's getting dark, so the little camera's not really capable of taking pictures in the dark. And that's down to the Comrades Club. And I checked out that, which is made sure I have no contacts on the Doro phone, which does texts and phone calls, and that's it. It's not smart. Yes, that's the checking the tracker. Yes, back home. And not many more photos, I think. No, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 1st of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot. And yes, a new generation of foxes. There's several little cubs, and there's one of them with mummy, I think. And yes, temperature's coming up lovely, 24 degrees. So yeah, work on the pond and inspected by Toadie, that pond fort number 2. And over to Richard and Faye's for chili con carne cooked up by Faye instead of going to the pub. And Samantha and June are getting ready to go off on holiday to Greece, tennis. But first of all, June goes down to Bal Bansal and had a chat, and I join her for a little while before popping over to the Comrades Club, and then walking back home. And because of course I had pub grub, and yes, oh, that was the visit to Bal's and there's the Comrades Club, and then back home. Anybody could have seen on my tracker back here. Oh yes, that video of a whole armful of blood that was sent to Alexander, who had a chat with while in the Comrades Club remotely. He's up in Edinburgh, And yeah, June's rustled up food. I put the peanuts out, and yes, so she's pretty well ready. So time for bed, but only for, I think it was about 3 hours before waking up with June in order to make sure they get away on the taxi okay. So they're ready and they're off. The guy from Ascot Car picked them up, and then I was able to track them on the way to the airport. And then while I was doing that, foxes came, and also a glimpse of a bat. First time I've seen that actually flying into the porch. And yeah, I can see they're getting to the airport okay. And yeah, touch base with June. And time for very confusing this. Yeah, so that's showing them well on their way, but that is on the next day, the 2nd, because this runs into it, the beginning of that day, obviously. So 24 degrees centigrade, and we're back on the 1st now. So we're probably into all the photos as shot on the camera. You had the summary earlier. So yeah, making sure I can switch on and off the pump. I haven't labelled it yet. That's the fountain pump. And yeah, Toadie's prowling around inspecting things, and I'm encouraging him to make use of that pond fort number 2. I found a better place for it at the end of the bridge, and of course if he hangs out there, that's another thing that will deter the heron. I've got to put on nice shoes because I'm going over for lunch with the lads, and also Faye and Richard. So yeah, so just past midday. So there's where I'm going, over the road, and there's Toadie keeping an eye on the front. There's the robot boat with Snoopy the Viking, and yeah, Toadie looking after the premises. So into Richard and Faye's. Yeah, very easy to lose track here. Yes, so lovely chili con carne, yeah, lovely, and enjoyed that. And in fact, yeah, 26 degrees. I must have popped back briefly to check things before going back for coffee, because I think I'd left the tap on. I don't know which way round it was. And yes, so that's don't know. And that was the back garden of there were foxes we could see in the back garden. They probably barely came out in the photos, but the same little family of foxes that I saw one, and Stuart'd seen them a good few days earlier in his back garden. So there's Samantha. Yes, tennis on the television, but they're going off to Greece to play tennis and socialising, of course. And yeah, 25 degrees centigrade now, lovely and warm. And yeah, that's that improvised means of catching floating debris. Since that, I've improved it, replaced that by something completely different. Notice there the pond's about 2 inches, because seeing what the effect is when the water level drops. Right, down to Bowes. June is down at Bowes. I can see her tracker. That's where she is, so I'll go down and join her. So I walk down into the village, and opposite the Comrades Club, and into, yeah, and there's Romeo. Hello, Romeo. And Belle chatting with June, but I didn't spend very long there. And yeah, so I think I then popped into the Comrades Club for a little while, and I had a chat with Alexander, and yes, the subject came up, yes, enjoy my 0% Peroni, of blood donation and blood samples, and of course that old character Tony Hancock. What, an old armful? Yeah, that might come later, because I found the video and sent him an email. Right, so back home, and yes, anybody could see on the tracker where I'd been. Yes, into One Charters Lane, and then just a few yards further down and then into the Comrades Club, and then back home. 22 Armitage Court, just here. Yes, there's the video Tony Hancock. And I must admit, it absolutely brilliant. It was also, the first few words, it was obviously in Scotland as well. Right, so June's rustled up evening meal. I take it into Robin's naughty corner in the lounge. Yeah, temperature is still over 20 there. And yes, looking at the pond and whatever work. It's now mostly tidying things up. If we see any way of removing a leak, we do, but that's not the big deal. Yeah, there's the lower pond. There's a shot or two up the garden. Yes, there's peanuts. Peanuts have gone out now. And yes, there's the flatulent fairy on the front porch. There's the untidy games room. That's on the list of things to be worked on after the priority. And right, June and Samantha getting ready, probably getting ready for bed. Yes, up to bed first, get perhaps about 3 hours or more sleep, and then yeah, soon after 3 o'clock we came down for the taxi that was picking them up at past. And yeah, so they're off now by taxi, and of course I can track to make sure they get safely to Gatwick. Yeah, so I just watch their progress. That's all working okay, and I can say now that the tracker also worked immediately they got over to Greece. And there's things that popped up on the closed circuit TV. You can see the time coming up 10 to 4 in the morning, and yeah, they are making good progress to Gatwick. That's about there, and you just about see it on the mapping. As you zoom in, you see more detail. And yeah, so they got to the roundabout just outside Ascot, outside Gatwick, and yes, they got there, and of course they had to get there at the right time. And then I checked the flight radar, and that was working. Oh yeah, there's a little fox cub. There's several in that family, and I guess that's Mummy Fox Cub looking after him, showing him around. So time for bed, and then later on Friday I got up and took a few more pictures. So there we go, 15 degrees centigrade. The timestamp at the bottom tells you that it's the 2nd. Yeah, pond, usual thing, checking levels, checking that means of getting the water to basically wash floating debris. Right, there's the flight working. You can see it on its way, and of course this photo trail will continue, but as the next day. So for the moment, that is the end of the photo trail. Friday the 2nd of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot, which of course continue on from the earlier day. And yes, track the flight of June and Samantha arriving in Greece for their tennis holiday, and then on June's white SOS tracker, all working good, from the airport through to where they were staying, hotel. And then June sent a photo on WhatsApp looking out from their room, so all looking good. And of course I was doing good work in the garden, and yeah, temperature coming up nicely, and then later was up over 20 degrees centigrade. Now it was all a matter of what you're going to do next. Yes, that's probably a better solution for the catching the floating debris and those little false fishes to confuse the heron. Look pretty good. Listen to the Radio 4 news, and yeah, put peanuts out, including over the second pond and at the front. And yeah, there's the flatulent fairy there, and of course there's this timestamp in the lower left corner. Time for bed. I had an early night, needed to catch up on sleep. So that was the summary. So now into all the photos, starting from 9:45, and there's the flight which we were tracking on Flight Aware. There's several websites that enable you to track aircraft, but I found that was the easiest. 10:10, temperature coming up nicely, and makes it pleasant to be in the garden, and of course things dry. I don't think I was doing a lot of concreting then, it was mostly decorating the garden. Yeah, so there the plane's actually landing, and that was the better solution, I think, for catching the floating debris. Looks like I've just turned the tap on, probably to fill the pond up. So you're testing everything, including that squirting fish. As the water level goes up and down, of course, that spout of water from below the surface changes. I'm obviously filling the pond there, and yes, now their journey has started in the taxi, but June's SOS tracker, anybody can see on the contact page. Yeah, now we got messages on WhatsApp, and that's Sally June's. I wasn't sure the name of the hotel they were heading, but she reminded me. Temperature over 20 degrees centigrade now, and yeah, so work continues there. Just turned the tap off. Yes, you can see no water going into the pond now, so the pond will be full. And yeah, so they suddenly made a slight adjustment with a bit of wire coming out from a rock of that hoop to collect the floating debris. Yeah, so they've arrived at their hotel, and June sent that photo on WhatsApp. Looks good. And yeah, so messages exchanged, and temperature coming up now to nudging 24 degrees centigrade. That was warmer than it was there, if I've got it right. And of course backwards and forwards into the garden where I was spending most of the time, and a lot of it was arranging stuff we already had. Right, so what I'm doing next, oh yes, all those little figures that I picked up from Forces Support, I thought, yeah, some of those can decorate the top of that heron hide, if you call it that perspex sheet. Mostly to do with to confuse or deter the heron. And those little earthenware fishes look quite convincing. Right, so I've just turned the tap on, I think now. Yes, there's the water going into the pond. And yes, gradually clearing junk, but most of that work was done the following day, which is when I'm recording this. So just turn the tap off, and of course every time I'm doing that, I'm also looking, are there any signs of where there's a leak, because water is still losing, the pond is still losing water, but luckily it's not really a problem now. Right, over 22 degrees centigrade, and oh yes, that was the those fork handles. They were saying, I was getting messages all the time for a week probably to say, they were practically there, but in fact it's only as I'm recording this the following day that they did arrive, 8 of them. And so yeah, put the peanuts out. Yeah, it's getting a bit later in the day, and at the front in the feeder they certainly get through that pretty quickly. That includes the young foxes. 8:20 in the evening, and yeah, there's a pond. A lot of things are starting to come into flower now as well, like those marigolds we put in. Right, time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 3rd of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot. Yes, that's Toadie checking out the pond fort number 2 near the pond. And yes, Saskia took one on her smartphone as well. Yeah, it didn't come out too badly. And yes, so quite a lot happened that day. Yes, that was Bentley, and pussycats are quite photogenic, and that was in fact when Saskia was leaving. So first photos were probably at about 12 o'clock midday, temperature coming up nicely, whatever that was, 17 centigrade, and the main activity was really tidying up around the patio area near the pond. And then Saskia arrived while I was in the back garden, so the closed circuit TV showed her letting herself in, and then I took a few photos of her insisting on going around cleaning up and everything. Did a much better job than June even, let alone Samantha. And yes, I couldn't start the car that needed to keep going because it was running out of petrol, and Bentley was keeping an eye on things from the platform above the dustbins. Yes, June had reminded me the dustbins need to be emptied, and then we went down to the blend and brew. Lovely meal, and yeah, then we came back, and yes, Saskia continued going round tidying up and all lots of housework stuff. That's what she insisted on doing. Yeah, dusting. And yeah, eventually got her out to relax outside, see the good work that I was doing, cleaning up. And Toadie, yes, and Bentley. So Saskia's now leaving, and yeah, for a few snaps out the front, Bentley keeping an eye on things. Hello, Bentley. And yes, got a delivery. That was the fork handles. Yep, and so I've got those out. There's in fact enough there for 2 lots of fork handles. And yeah, did a bit more work down there. Quite hot work, but put those slabs so when you walk down the steps and turn left to go round the back of the pond, it's not on grass. So yeah, so then it was a question of how is that going to be done, and then the video chat in the evening, and while I was eating my food. So that was Samantha and June from abroad, and yes, I thought I'd take a walk down to the Comrades Club, but yeah, camera's not up to taking any pictures, so the tracker shows where I went. Anybody could see how much time I was spending there. And then back home here, and then time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now all the photos in the order shot. So coming up to midday, temperature 16 centigrade. Yes, you see the problem taking a selfie with that camera. Press the button and it doesn't necessarily take the picture at the time you press the button, but it's better than nothing. Yeah, so deciding what jobs to do. Several things could be done in parallel, like siphoning of the pond while I'm getting on with other things. And yeah, a few snaps around the pond. That's where the water leaks out if there is a leak, and there still is, but it's not a problem because it goes along that other little stream into the second pond. And yeah, a few snaps further down the garden, and back to the top pond and the patio, gradually clearing that up now. And yes, back inside. Ah yes, she'd arrived a few minutes earlier, but I went, got the pictures to show the story on the closed circuit TV. So there's Saskia arriving. No, those aren't toilet rolls. I think that was part of her cleaning gear she brought. And there's me on the closed circuit TV showing her stuff. Right, and meanwhile she's busy, so I go upstairs and she insisted on cleaning Samantha's bathroom, and well, I didn't stop her. You'd have thought Samantha would be able to do that. And I showed her that untidy room, which is access, well, it was a bedroom, access to the roof, mostly women's clothes, I think. Right, so a few snaps from the roof, looking down, And yeah, I thought I'd take the opportunity to take some pictures around the roof. Those skylights hadn't been cleaned recently, but it was good. A week or so back, June and Samantha went out and cleaned those. Yeah, and those figs are coming along as well. And that's, yes, making my way back. Yeah, the camera looking there through that untidy bedroom. And there's Saskia still hoovering. She did an excellent job of my study that hadn't been cleaned for decades. So relax for a few minutes. Temperature coming up to 17 degrees centigrade. Yes, and of course because the water had dropped for the checks I was doing, you see all the little decorations and things inside the pond better, which are of course heron distractors and amusement if anybody looks into the pond, like those little, well, they're I'm not sure what you call them, decoy fish I suppose. Yeah, so a few more snaps showing it. And yeah, she's now cleaning that downstairs loo, and I've said to June for years, oh, let's have somebody in and do a little bit of work on it. She says, no, not unless all those avocado units are changed. Oh, there's the, yeah, went into the car, run it normally every week or so, and I saw it run out of petrol. So that's a job when it's convenient to get a can of petrol and put it in. Anyhow, so close the garage door, and then I noticed Bentley was relaxing on the platform above the dustbins, yeah, with armed mice and two catforts, catfort 1 and catfort 2. Alright, I made sure that I put the rubbish in the appropriate bin so that I can put them out on the Sunday night, which is when I'm recording this. Yes, and that was round at the Blend and Brew Cafe, and Saskia agreed to go down there, and yeah, it was a new girl working there, Poppy, and I know one Poppy over the fence, Sutcliffe's, who starred many years ago on the geocaching TV video that went out on BBC World. But Saskia remembered another Poppy, a little doggy of Friends and Neighbours many years ago that had a house on the edge of Sunninghill. Right, so more pictures of the pond as a record of where things were. A bit blurred. Tap you can see is off there. No water going into the pond, probably because it's been filled up now. Yeah, relax a little bit. And well, yeah, I've got to force myself while she's still going around doing dusting there. Look, cobwebs, little spiders' webs. Oh yes, then she showed me how to clean those cushions by putting them in the dishwasher, but she had to take out the stuffing from there first. So yeah, well, let her show me how to do it and do it. Yeah, great. Yeah, so then relaxing out, and that's where in a moment you'll see I think photos. Yes, there's Toady. Yeah, you just see his eyes checking out that, and in fact he was in there after Saskia had left for several hours, so he obviously likes that spot. So yeah, we can make some minor improvements to it, but it also, he can keep on the eye on the pond for herons. Right, looks like, yeah, there's Bentley from opposite relaxing on one of the cars, and yes, Saskia's off, and yes, okay, yeah, it's one of the flowers out the front. So Saskia's off home, and yes, there's Bentley in June's car. Hello, Bentley. Oh, and there's the guy that I'd missed earlier, but on the closed circuit TV, delivering the fork handles. And yeah, I might tell you, that might even be his name. I should think so. Yeah, so there's the package. Oh, there's the black and white cat from the back. It sometimes comes over and unpack the fork handles, and that's the product on eBay. And the delivery delays well, I think mostly down to the various couriers that are in the route. Right, so not sure what that photo was, went off by accident I should think. Yeah, showing the workshop area, just to remind people we've got that lovely area now to put things in the right place, and we'll get round to that soon. Getting to it very soon now. I'm probably trying to do a job there. Excuse me. Yes, it was related to how those fork handles fit into a box. Anyhow, yeah, it was work I got on there, yeah, hot work, but found those two slabs, put them in there, and then the white chippings, and yes, put things back in the right place, and cement in the white chippings, firm it up. So all a case of grabbing the weather to do work, and of course, as long as things get better, that's what matters. Yeah, so that's a few more pictures around the pond, and yes, inside the pond. Looks as I might have deliberately dropped it. Oh yes, that sundial. I saw whoever designed it obviously needs work doing on it. You'll see that in today's photo trail. Next one. It's coming up to 7 o'clock in the evening, and yeah, video WhatsApp chat with family, remote family. Yes, I showed them the fork handles, and yeah, so that was an enjoyable chat. And right, 9:30, put the peanuts out. Yeah, camera doesn't cope very well with that, but you can just about see that lit up with the torch on the bridge. And then I put them in the feeder at the front, and also the bird feeder near the flatulent fairy. And then yeah, how about a walk down to the Comrades Club? Well, no pictures, and so yeah, when I got back, yes, anybody could see where Robin was and how long he spent there in the Comrades Club. And then he got home to 22 Armitage Court, just here. And yes, that picture went off by accident, showed my foot. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 4th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, what am I going to do about those fork handles? Yeah, I did make a bit of progress on that, but mostly it was tidying up the patio. Yeah, the pond's pretty well done, and temperatures are respectable. That was 13 degrees centigrade then. And yes, a lovely phone call from Alexander and follow-up emails about that advanced technology. Yeah, pioneering stuff. Over 2,000 years ago, analog computers modelling the solar system and lots of other stuff. There's Toady keeping an eye on what I was doing, and he also spent time in Pond Fort number 2. Another means of keeping an eye on the heron. Yes, and Gary and Saskia arrived with petrol that I could top up the car and keep the battery okay. And yeah, a bit of tidying up there, but then mostly it was down to La Sorrentina for a lovely snack, and yes, enjoyed that. And then across to the Comrades Club, a little bit of time in there, but mostly Gary thrashed me all 3 games of pool, and I always thought I was getting quite good. Anyhow, yeah, we did that in their car that trip. Yeah, back, I put the peanuts out, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos as shot, and there's a timestamp down the bottom, so you can see just after 10 o'clock. Yeah, temperature good for any work I was doing, and yeah, it was the usual routine of turning on the tap to fill up the pond, basically to reveal any slight leaks, but they can be done quite in parallel with the other things. Yes, so there's deciding what to do about that. I'd made progress on it, and also that sundial. I did saw off that bit, which was clearly a design mistake, certainly in our latitudes. So we should actually, that should work better. It had been there for years, and of course part of it casts a shadow. Ah yes, out with some milk and pop that in. That's after the ponder's full, and turn off the things to move the water like the fountains, and then see where it settles, and it might reveal leaks. And yeah, there's Toady prowling around, and so yeah, a few snaps around the garden. It's gradually getting tidied up. The important thing is the structural work. There's Toady checking out the bottom bridge, and yeah, sundial. When the sun comes out you get a chance to have a look at it, and of course it's got to be in the right position. There's Toady prowling around, of course. Not sure what he was after there. Right, 12:05, midday, 13 degrees, I think that was. And yes, so there's those patches of milk have gathered, and the best guess was that is where it was seeping out. We couldn't be sure, so I thought, right, that's the job to do. And there was another spot over in the other corner which looked the same way, so yes, so I thought, right, the answer then was to siphon the water out, and then yes, there's another, looking at the same thing. Yeah, dry that as the patch near the overflow, so dried it as best I could, and of course let some sun and wind on it. And that was the call from Alexander. And yeah, coming up to 1 o'clock, 15 degrees, so again good for drying things, like that patch there. And then it was a question of timing. There's Toady in his pond fort number 2. Yeah, so then I put that material, which was emergency roof seal, and yes, remember, put things back in the right place, workshop area. And the other spot, I thought, no, the best way to tackle that was just cement. So put some cement down on where that might have been a leak. It's all a matter of how much time it takes and what the benefits are. Yeah, so the water's well down, so then you say give things time to dry and then start the pond filling, and yeah, temperature good. Oh yes, Alexander sent an email, a bit blurred the pictures, and that was a video on that ancient artifact, and it was basically a clockwork computer to predict the movements of the planets and eclipses, and they also had on the dials, it had marked events, the equivalent of things like the Olympic Games and stuff like that. Right, temperature's still nice and healthy, and Toady is keeping an eye. I've just turned the tap on, so I've decided that things like that, emergency roof seal, has probably had enough time to dry, certainly by the time the water level came up to there. So the tap's on and the pond's filling. Yes, Toady's keeping an eye on things, and yes, the patio is gradually getting a bit clearer, so temperature's still quite reasonable. And yes, so the water's creeping up. It's only an inch to go now. In other words, it's an inch low, and so I'm pointing out that yeah, it's difficult to keep up. 5 o'clock in the evening, and yes, just photos. Oh yes, right, the pond's now full, overflowing, so I can turn the tap off. And of course the key thing is just see that didn't take a lot of effort, mostly just time waiting for things to happen. Fingers crossed that'll make it better. I can say with hindsight it didn't make much difference, but it didn't do any harm. And yes, there's the fork handles, and there's Saskia and Gary with the petrol. Put it in the car, started, so that's good, and helped work out what happens with those cushions. And that might have been another call from Alexander. All these things going on at the same time. Right, how about a meal down at La Sorrentina? It's a little while since I've been in there, and yeah, so yeah, the cars ran okay, so turn it off and close the garage doors, yes. And then they decided, they drive down rather than walk down to the village. So rather than the 5 minutes walk, yes, I took a lift, and there we go, into La Sorrentina, and I enjoyed my yes. And that was pizza with an egg on it that Gary had. Yeah, 1 or 2 snaps. I had the usual fruta di mare risotto, and then a limoncello cheesecake to finish, and then across into the Comrades Club. Yes, and yeah, they had snooker on the telly, but the key thing is we had, I think it was 3 games, and Gary thrashed me, and I thought I was getting quite reasonable. So sometime we'll have to get him playing against some of the better players in the club. So back home, yes, no time to check out the tracker, but yes, so the water has gone down a bit. I would guess that looked about 1 inch there, and right, they're off back home. I mean, they get up early in the morning for walks and things. I put the dustbins out and put the peanuts out, and yeah, that's it. It's time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Monday the 5th of May 2025, which is also 80 years after VE Day. And yes, first a summary of the photos shot, which are mostly of the wheelbarrow race. So here's just a flavour, including the first stop, the Duke of Edinburgh and pub, and of course photos of the garden, doing work tidying up, and wearing something suitable. Yes, my Sacco uniform. And yeah, down into the village, and I went into the Blend and Brew for well, not much more than a coffee and to shelter from a little shower of rain before going down to get the start of the wheelbarrow race. Yes, as always, crowded out. And yes, here's just several of the entrants, but the full photo trail has more. Yeah, I like that one. And yeah, that just gives you a flavour of the wheelbarrow race. And the handout had all the details, including the map of the course. And then into the Comrades Club for a party. And there's Billy, I've known since the late 70s, friend of Jack from their school days. And spam sandwiches and 0% Peroni. And a couple that I met, and yeah, that was lovely, meeting and chatting to them. And then Helen did the vintage songs, easy to find her on the net, and that was lovely, especially with including the kids. And then out and back home, and yes, everything's going well. Yeah, check the tracker. Anybody could see where Robin was, including the Comrades Club, and walking around the village. Part of, and then back here at 22 Armitage Court. And yes, getting things a bit tidier now on the patio. Yeah, watch the news summary of the remembrance in, yeah, that's the Mull, I think. And yeah, there's a bit more work in the garden, including the fork handles project. Yes, I wonder how I'm going to do that. So yeah, I managed to do it. It's coming along. Put the peanuts out. Getting later in the day. I best force myself to go down to the Comrades Club again. Yes, past Snoopy's robot boat. There's Snoopy the Viking. So down into the village again, into the Comrades Club. And yes, a lot quieter after that party. Nice relaxing time. And of course that corner's quite important, remembering the guys. So back home, yes, coming up to 9:30, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos as shot, starting off with work in the garden, tidying up the patio. Yes, only 9:25 in the morning. Of course there's other stuff. Yes, there's Toadie checking my work, and there's one of the bomb forts, and there's the other one at the end of the bridge. And yes, he's just checking around, making sure I'm doing things right. It's probably the usual routine of, filling and everything, the pond in the background, to look for leaks, and main thing is tidying up. And yeah, so now I just check the sun off, because the usual thing is the sun was out and then suddenly you go to take a picture and the sun goes in again behind a cloud. But yeah, so gradually starting to tidy things up. That's the little stream that now, if there is a leak in the pond, it comes round and into the second pond, and that's round near the fence and the pond fort number 1. And there's the Gunner Manticata, the giant rhubarb, that's still coming along nicely. Then going down to the bog garden at the end, and yes, and there's Toadie decided to follow me around. There's the bottom bridge and the second pond. Yes, that's the gentleman with the PIR light. Yes, so we're coming back up the garden again, and just using it as a snapshot. Obviously everything's grown like mad and a lot of things have come into flower. And right, back to the patio area. Yes, doing the best I can with that camera. So there's my Sackers uniform, the 4-star general. The first guy of that was Eisenhower, whose bunker was under the Maris School during the war. And anyhow, coming up to approaching 10 degrees centigrade, good for, well, pleasant conditions. And there's Toadie relaxing on the patio. And yes, that video was much better from the 2023, because both June and I were shooting photos and videos. That was the 2-year previously wheelbarrow race. So going down into the village and past the Comrades Club, into the Blend and Brew Cafe. Yes, just have a coffee and a cake. And there was a little shower of rain coming through, so it was convenient to pop in there. And of course have a few words with them as well, and then walking down over the railway to where the race starts, near St Michael's School, where generations of Ponsfords and Lovelocks have been to. Not Robin, but June and the 3 daughters. So nice big crowd of people all gathered. Look at that frog character. And yes, so that is gathering around at the start, so they're getting ready to go. And yes, so looks like they're probably off now. Yes, that is probably the first stopping place. It's basically a pub crawl. That's what it always was. I'm not sure whether they drink any alcohol these days, but right, so that one is, they call it the Duke now, but it was the Duke's Head, I think, originally. I think I said by mistake Duke of Edinburgh. No, it was the Duke's Head. And anyhow, the Duke, as they call it. Yeah, so I'm trying to get every team as they come through. And of course children are a major part of it, and of course a lot of the pictures are blurred because this horrible little camera I've got is better than nothing, but it's nowhere near as good as some other pocket cameras I've used, but not easy to get now. Right, so I recognise where that is. Coming up to the corner, there used to be a sweet shop, and yeah, they're making their way round, and yeah, so it's been a case of me doing the best I can to sort of go around the course and not miss any of the contestants. Now we're gradually working our way down the high street towards the village, into the village, and yes, Lego, that was an interesting, yeah, all different themes. Yeah, they look like leprechauns. I don't know, I might have it wrong looking at that colour green. Yeah, so we're gradually making our way closer to the village. Yes. So a lot of people will recognise where these spots are. And of course, if you look on Street View, you could work it out yourself. Ah, right, that is the, whatever they call it, safety vehicle that follows it up. And it's coming up to 12:30. So effectively, that is marking the end of the race. And then those guys in that white van clearing up the various things blocking the roads and that. So we're going past now places like that was the Raj Vuj on the left and the school on the right and the one stop. So gradually making way up the high street. There's the handout, there's the map, and yes, that's been redone into something different now. Chapman's, yeah, there's one of the cafes tucked away there over the railway, and Free One Barbers and other places, and yeah, yes, the new Tesco, Plain Kebab, Free One, that side, looking back down High Street there, past the Blend and Brew again, and probably making my way to the Comrades Club because there's going to be a party there. So yes, into the Comrades Club, and there's Billy. Yeah, sorry these pictures are a bit blurred, and yeah, I did make a note of the name, so I'm sorry I couldn't remember it off the top of my head. Sorry about that. Anyhow, that was the singer Helen, and yeah, you easily find examples of her work if you Google it up. And there was ham sandwiches, and not just ham sandwiches, I think it was cheese and tomato I had as well. But obviously it was all memories of VE Day and what life was like celebrating in 1945. So yeah, back home, dustbins, yes, they put back in the right place because they had been taken away or emptied by the dustman. Look at the tracker, and yes, there's Robin's walk around the village, photographing the wheelbarrow race. A few spots there, and a bit of scatter, but basically timing the Comrades Club, and then getting back home at 22 Armitage Court, just here. And that's the 4 fork handles, and yes, I think I was checking out where the couple I had come from, and yes, lovely area up in Buckinghamshire. Yeah, just checking the pond, and yeah, the depth, about 3 inches low, whatever is there is just over 3 inches. So turn the tap on, so the pond's filling now. Oh yes, and then I caught basically I think that was the news summary of the events celebrating VE Day, because it's a serious occasion as well, because those who gave their lives or lost their lives wasn't just the forces. Right, decided to pop some milk into the pond as a means of perhaps getting a clue where the leaks might be, because there are still leaks, but But so that's what I was doing there. Yes, so I've got 4 lots of fork handles. Casey is making the point of put things in the right place where you can find them, and I think I was probably that would be at the time I decided to creosote them. Not sure that was a good idea or not really, because I noticed the next day it still wasn't dry. But anyhow, yeah, a few shots looking where the milk seems to have accumulated. I'm wondering whether it was really being drawn to the holes. A bit blurred that, listening to the Radio 4 News, I should think. Put the peanuts out on the bridge and at the feeder on the front porch near the flatulent fairy. And of course there's the feeder there. And yeah, it's very untidy. 8:30 that is in the evening, I think. And it looks like I'm down to the Comrades Club again. Yes, past the robot boat and Snoopy the Viking. It's still relatively light, so you're still able to get pictures with the camera. The other cameras did a little better. A lot quieter. There were several people there, but of course big party, so probably people have gone back to recover. I see on the timestamp that was got back at about 9:30 according to the timestamp. Yeah, there you go, 9:30. Looked at the tracker. Yes, bit of scatter, but there's Robin spending time in the Comrades Club, more than one occasion there. And back home, just here. And then time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Tuesday the 6th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot that day. Yes, got those 2 candle holders from Thames Hospice at 50p each. Yes, and that was, yeah, might make use of those on the fork handles project. And of course the patio's getting quite tidy now. Temperature's coming up nicely, nudging 12 degrees centigrade for work on the pond. And yeah, it's a little background job on the side. And yeah, you find spots that are suspect, put a bit of cement and PVA glue in, and I walk down to the village. And yes, into the one stop, get a bit of cash, and into Thames Hospice, and that's where I got those candle holders. Then into Blend and Brew, and had a proper meal. And then into the Comrades Club, spent a little bit of time there, chatting to Billy, and old friend of Jack's. And I said old friend, yes, going back before the war. And yeah, back home, and yes, that's one of the things I bought from Chapman's, some black paint, and that made it easier to clean up that patio table. And of course Toadie was prowling around, keeping an eye on what I was doing. And yeah, listen to the Radio 4 News, and yeah, check what the women are up to in Greece. Anybody could see that if they knew that's what the tracker was connected to. And yes, put the peanuts out. This is getting at the back end of the day on the bridge. And then I found, crikey, they're not getting through that. That was 10 little buckets of peanuts I had to put in. It may have been a day or two. Oh yes, the spot tracker. I moved that from Samantha's car and put it, swap the batteries basically, put it on charge. And that's working fine, showing the position at the right place when I was checking it. And there's a little foxes live on the closed circuit TV, and they're also picked up by the Ring camera, which is down low near the peanuts. And time for bed, so that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos in the order shot. Yes, the patio's looking tidier. Started taking pictures at 12:30, temperature coming up to 12 degrees centigrade. And I drained the pond before I took the pictures in order to check around. And yes, that grass was cut the next day, which is when I'm recording this. And basically going around getting a snapshot of the place. That's the pond fork number 1 for Toadie, and that looks like a suspect spot. So I ended up, a mixture of things in that, stuffing things into the crevice and mixture of PVA and cement, and yeah, just keeping a record of things. So yes, that was, yeah, I was pushing stuff into that, and in fact, as I'm recording this, that was the PVA sealant, and I couldn't get the top off, so my solution was to make a hole in the top and then cover it. Yeah, so that's a record of that work there, and in fact, as I'm recording this, I've just done a better job, because that there were gaps I'd left under the rocks for the water to get out. But these things you only know by testing. So 1:25 in the afternoon, temperature, yeah, nudging up, 13 degrees centigrade. Okay, so grabbing the opportunity. As I've said before, cement takes time, and paint. And yeah, 1:45. Right, walk down to the village, and yes, that was one of the handles for the fork handles. And yeah, down into the village. I think the first place I went over the railway, and near the school into one stop, got myself some cash. Then I thought I'd pop into Thames Hospice, and that's where I found those two things, only 50p each, and very unusual. I think I took a picture by accident there. And there's the coffee, there's scrambled egg on toast with salmon and things. So making my way back into the Comrades Club, just for a rest break. I didn't have anything to drink on that occasion. Oh yes, I did. Yes, I remember now. Yes, somebody insisted on, yeah, won't bother with the detail, but that was lovely, those conversations. So back home, there's the robot boat on static test, no chance to do any work on him, and into the house. And yeah, so it's coming up to 3:45 in the afternoon, pop outside, and yes, I think it looked as though I'd left the tap on, filling up, and so it was time to turn the tap off. And of course, yeah, just sort of a few photos of looking around. The tap's off, no water going into the pond. And of course, that's a background activity where you spend a few minutes fixing what you think is a leak, and I can see water still coming out of the side there. So although it flows nicely into the second pond, we still have leaks. So the pond's losing a couple of inches if you leave it long enough overnight. And yeah, so we got a record of the photos. There's the cat fort, and now that's what I got from Chapman's, and yes, that made it much easier to clean up some of the things. Looked at the tracker, a bit blurred, that picture. Anybody could see my movements and where I went live into the Comrades Club and how long I spent there until getting back home at 22 Armitage Court, just here. Right, well, I didn't spend a lot of time on. There was a little background activity. I mean, that's only 2 of the candle holders, and yeah, the pond's looking quite nice when it's got water in. And yes, that's a record basically for my things. And there, yeah, Toady occasionally comes out to keep an eye on what I'm doing. Yes, there's Toady. Yeah, listen to the Radio 4 news, and also, yeah, just check what the women are up to. Yeah, just zooming in so you can see where they are in Greece. Keep zooming in. Anybody can do this on the contact page, the white tracker. And there they are, probably in their room, relaxing. And right, yeah, the patio's looking quite reasonable. Put peanuts out on the top bridge, as I call it, because we've got another bridge going on the second pond further down. And the patio's looking okay. Yeah, peanuts at the front, and the feeder, that's the flatulent fairy near the peanuts. And that feeder, I had to put 10 little buckets of peanuts into it. It may have been a day or two since I topped it up, but I think it's the foxes more than anything that are taking those. I didn't get a photograph of it, but I saw a mouse as well, but the birds also come regularly. Right, so put the peanuts back where they belong, in the untidy room, and that tracker, which is the spare Spot T2 tracker, which is also on the contact page, was in Samantha's car, and I found out where she kept the keys and moved it out, charged it up, and that's working well. Anybody can see its position, which we might carry around in the car for checking it. And there's a little baby fox cub. Yeah, there's a little family of those, and also, I don't know, that was Mummy Fox on the back bridge, because I assume she comes around with them to begin with, and there is the baby fox caught on the ring camera, right down near the peanuts. So that worked well. So I can say, right, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Wednesday the 7th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the few photos shot that day. Yes, work on the garden was and the patio was probably the priority work, and mowed the back lawn, yes, and sprinkled it, and yes, and took a walk down to the village, past Snoopy's robot boat, into the library, that's over the railway there, in order to join a police PCSO meeting, but lovely chat with Cliff the librarian back home after picking up 4 candles from Chapman's, yeah, temperature good, and put those with the fork handles. Work to be done. Oh yeah, mended a little pump, or replaced a water pump, and yeah, lovely conversations including with Alexander, and yeah, what else? Lots happened that day. Yes, found a possible leak, fixed it, and peanuts out. Yes, lovely conversation about sailing and sailing boats, and yeah, decided to walk down to the village, go into the Comrades Club, forced myself to spend a bit of time there, came back home, and just here. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos in the order shot. Yeah, mostly keeping a record of what I was doing in the garden, but avoiding taking too many pictures. Yeah, temperature coming up nicely, 17 degrees centigrade, very pleasant. Meant that cement dried quickly. Yes, cleaned things like the Perspex heron hide. Basically, yes, I found a pump had failed, and yes, mowed the back lawn, sort of. And so that's not too bad, and that's the pump that had packed up, and I basically ended up replacing it. Oh, there's Toady relaxing. He's usually too quick for me to get good pictures of him with the camera I've got. Yeah, so looks like the pond has been well drained there, so that I could get in and basically cleaned things like that Perspex sheet. And yes, it's all happening rather quickly to do it. So a few snaps of the garden. I've just put the tap on after tidying up the pond, and yeah, coming up to 1:45 in the afternoon, 17 degrees centigrade, nice and warm. I did do a little bit of cementing, and that helped. It meant they dried out quickly. Yes, there's the fork handles project. Just to do a little bit on it every now and again when I found the materials. And there's Snoopy's robot boat on static chest. Taking my walk down into the village, past the Comrades Club, over the railway, near the school, and into the library. And that was for, yes, there was some new stuff up on the walls, old memories, and mostly from the point of view of various forces in Sunninghill during the war. And anyhow, yeah, call from Alexander. Of course, we know the picture in more detail, other than that stuff that's up on the walls. Yeah, so back home, the candles that I picked up, temperature coming up to 16 degrees centigrade. Pond is filling, well, it's over full now, so I can turn the tap off. And looking around, yes, everything says it's full. And of course you can see lots of those little decoy fish, which I'm confident will help scare the heron away. I beg your pardon, distract the heron, waste his time trying to catch them. Yes, and there's water still coming out, which is not a problem because it flows into the second pond, but good if it didn't lose it at all. There's the replacement pump, and then make sure I've got it so that it's protected from its things like a newt getting into its inlet. And that's the old pump that I removed because I thought it was just a blockage, but it seems to be a failed. Yeah, so that pond has dropped a little bit already. And yes, phone call from Alexander, and yes, it's good to stay in touch, and anyone can see him on that eSAMS page. And yeah, so that's been tidied up and improved a bit. That means of catching any floating weed and debris. A bit blurred, that picture. Now that looks a suspect place where water could be leaking out, and of course by then I'd filled the pond, so I think I slapped a bit of faster cement over it temporarily. And right, putting the peanuts out, and yes, there's an email exchange which related to well, boats, sailing boats, and of course brought back lovely memories of sailing going right back to the early 70s. Yeah, that's my walk down to the Comrades Club. No photographs down there because it's too dark for the camera, but yeah, tracking me coming back, anybody could have seen where I was. Back here, 22 Armitage Court. Time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Thursday the 8th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot. Yes, near the end there's photos of the little fox cub and other wildlife coming for the peanuts, including the hedgehog. And yes, lots happened on that day, and lovely and warm, coming up above 11 when that photo was taken. Yeah, work on the tidying up the pond is pretty well done, and also pretty well completion of the 4 candles little project. And yes, coming up to midday, and of course there's the 2-minute silence, and Stuart and Richard joined me in seeing that. We managed to get a TV working, then off to the Cricketers for pub lunch, meeting up with Terry and Mike, and enjoyed their meal and conversation, of course, on all sorts of topics. And yeah, so we leave the Cricketers. Yes, anybody could see where we were on the public tracker, and get back home. And before joining them round at Stuart's for coffee and bickies, I checked a few things. Yes, there's the robot boat, and yes, anybody could see where we were. And then round to Stuart's, and yes, he got his model railway out. I was demonstrating that. Incredible. I showed him the little fox cubs caught on the Ring camera, and yeah, so yeah, there's a Spot T2 tracker on charge, 4:05, and relax a bit for a chance. Oh yes, with Toadie joining me. And yes, it was the day the total deaths graph come out, which is much more useful beyond COVID. And pretty well that is tidied up. Oh, of course, the new Pope, an American, was announced, and I listened to the Radio 4 News as well, and little bit more work on the pond when you find something that's suspect. Yeah, put the peanuts out as it gets later in the day, and including the feeder. And yes, relaxing. And yes, there's a little fox cub, and there's two fox arguing, and there's a hedgehog, all competing. And yeah, decided to take a walk down to the Comrades Club, but although the tracker would show where I was, the camera wasn't up to taking any photos along the street, too dark. Anyway, back here, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos in the order shot, starting with the patio. A lot tidier now. 10:15 in the morning. Yeah, 11 degrees centigrade. The temperature's coming up nicely. And there's the 4 candles project. So I'm just thinking what I'm going to do about the candles, remaining 2 candles. And of course, in parallel with that, yeah, checking the pond. Yeah, about 3.5 inches low. And yeah, so you're looking for places that it might be leaking out, and that can all be done in parallel with other things. And yeah, looking at the garden, not sure I might have actually sprinkled a bit of water on it. Going around the back of the pond, there's the second pond, and yeah, there's the pond fort number 1 for Toadie to hang out if he so wishes, or any other pussycats. And what else have we got? Oh, sundials. Yeah, when the sun comes out, but of course, just as you're going to take a picture, the sun goes behind a cloud. So, oh yes, and that was quite a good solution. That bit of glass from the front of one of the old Mercs, I think that's what it was, just the job as a tray to keep water for any plants that we decide to grow. Right, looks like I'm topping up the pond again at 11:15. Temperature's coming up nicely, and yes, Toadie's relaxing on June's sleeper, or whatever you call it. Oh yes, check that sundial since the sun was out, and it looks about right. And yes, took 1 or 2 more snaps of it, and then down to the other sundial. Yeah, well, that one there is the conventional one, was working fine. And then of course Toadie was following me around, and looks like some of that vegetation has to be removed and the letters tidied up, apart from adjusted possibly, so you can see them. Now Toadie decided to relax under cat fort number 3, I think that is, in the back garden. Yeah, so checking out the system for collecting floating debris. A few more snaps around the patio, and then into Robin's naughty corner. And I tried to get that Windows 11 PC working with live TV. I ended up with just the radio, and I thought, well, it'd be useful to know at least what was happening on the 2-minute silence and the other events in Whitehall, I think it was, or the Mall. And anyhow, as it happens, I managed to get a TV working at the last minute, the one in the kitchen. But right, more snaps around the pond. Those decoy fishes look quite convincing, and so I think it'd fool a heron. Yeah, untidy games room, that's on the list. That might be the next thing to start getting tidy now the patio's in a reasonable state. Yeah, listening to the Radio 4 news. There's Stuart arriving, and shortly after that Richard did, and we managed to get that telly working in the kitchen, so we were able to observe the 2-minute silence and just see what was going on for those few minutes after 12 o'clock midday. And then, yeah, off in Stuart's car, off to the Cricketers, I think it was we were going. Yes, the Cricketers at Bagshot. And yes, I like it when you got the name of the pub still, which has been that for years. Yeah, there we go. There's what each of us was eating. And and at least two of us, I think, were having the curry on that occasion. And right, they're on their way back, past Longacres on the left and Windmill Pub, on our road into Sunninghill, past the Berestead, bit blurred, into Armitage Court, and then I walked down to 22 for a few minutes to check things like emails that have come in. They don't have to be answered straight away, but it's useful to know, particularly if I then get a phone call. Yeah, check the tracker, and there we go. Anybody could see where we were and how long we were there, or at least I was, or at least my tracker was. And yeah, and then back home, 22 Armitage Court, just here. So that's next round to Stewart's. Yeah, temperature going up nicely, 16 degrees centigrade, and everything okay in the pond. Oh yes, there's Toadie relaxing in Pond Fort number 2, the one at the end of the bridge, and the water level looks like it's dropped a little. And yeah, just get a feel for the patio. So leave the house and round to Stewart's, and yes, and there's his model railway. Took several pictures there, and he demonstrated all the fancy facilities, and then showed them those, and there they were out at the back garden. That was, I think, on Stewart's smartphone pictures he'd taken. And yeah, back home, put the Spot T2 spare spot tracker on charge. It was in Samantha's car, then I put it back into June's car. Yeah, checking the pond. Yeah, that's working well. Getting the debris off and into that little hoop. Not a lot of debris at the moment, of course. All the petals have gone off the cherry tree, and we haven't got any duckweed yet. Yeah, so it looks like I'm relaxing, and Toadie's joined me. Hello, Toadie. Yes. He likes that platform there. So, yeah, briefly into the lounge. Yeah, printed out the graph of total deaths and updated the page, COVID page. As I said many times, that's a very useful indicator of any problems would show anything. Right, I think I decided, yes, and Toadie's relaxing out there. And of course all these things going on in parallel, particularly when you get a phone call or something. So I think I decided to leave that tap dribbling water in to maintain the level, to see if it showed up any clues. And I thought I'd drop some milk in, but it looks as though rather than being drawn to wherever the leak was, it just seems to settle in the bottom. Of course it's possible that that's where remaining leaks are. That yeah, so I think I did decide there was one or two spots that were worth popping a bit of cement onto. So I can listen into the Radio 4 news. Yes, that's coming along. A bit blurred, that picture. See how those two candle holders, I think those are the ones we got for the greenhouse some years ago during frosty weather to keep it warm rather than using electrics. Right, there's the new Pope. American, eh? And yeah, Wiki very quickly had a lot of detail about him, and which is anybody interested is worth looking at. Yeah, so there's me popping some fast drying cement in a few spots. I think it was only a couple of spots. I thought, well, of course the key thing is you see a difference if it works, and of course some of the time you might be wasting your time, might be wasting cement, but worth trying. Yeah, putting the peanuts out, and yeah, including the bird feeder near the flatulent fairy in the porch, and top up that goes down a lot. And of course when you actually see a number of things that come for the peanuts, foxes gobble them up a lot, and of course during the day birds do, despite the risks of pussycats catching them. Yeah, so yeah, that's a bit blurred. Yeah, but you can see the little baby fox there. There's 5 or 6 of those, and they live behind Stuart's, and they explore around. Some people don't like them. I think Richard doesn't like them, but I do. They're lovely little things, and even nice when they're bigger. Now there was, yeah, 2 there, but they're obviously rivals. Whoa, growling at each other. Although I didn't see any biting. And there's a hedgehog, but the foxes show respect for the hedgehog. It's not worth getting prickles in your snout. 9:15. Yeah, how about going down to the Comrades Club, get a bit of exercise. Now, photos won't come out very well with that camera, so coming back home, and yes, have a look at the tracker. Anybody could see where Robin was and when he came out of the Comrades Club. And back home, 22 Armitage Court, bit blurred that, just here. Right, time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Friday the 9th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot. Yes, part of it is the detective work, finding out what knocked those gnomes over, and one of them was knocked over by the pigeons, and the other one was squirrels competing over the peanuts, of course. And yes, yeah, there's Toadie relaxing in pond fort number 2, and Robin relaxing, and decide what to do next. Oh yes, I have a late brunch down at the Blend and Brew, past the robot boat, into the village, into the Blend and Brew. Yeah, and yes, lovely meal there. Across the road into Tesco for essential shopping, Weetabix and fruit and nut chocolate. Yeah, anybody could see where Robin was on the tracker. Might be a bit difficult to know exactly where he was. Back here with Toadie, and that little picture of the fox I sent by WhatsApp, that'd been the day before, and yes, Toadie keeping an eye whatever I was doing, of course. Put the peanuts out, down to the village again, into the Comrades Club, I think. Oh no, that was into the Flame Kebab to have my evening meal, coffee and burger, and then across into the Comrades Club, and then back home, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into the photos, the order shot. I didn't start taking any photos until midday, and temperature coming up nicely already, and yes, keeping an eye on the pond. Whenever you see somewhere where it might be a route by water's getting out, put a bit of cement. Oh yes, that's coming along nicely, which is the 4 Candles project. And yeah, since the sun was out, I checked the sundials, including that one near the pond. Bit blurred, that picture, but yes, that's better. And yeah, that seemed pretty well bang on, the one that I'm using as a reference. And yeah, so a few snaps around there. The porch area is getting quite reasonable. Of course, that's not the same as the the game zone. That was the spot tracker, which had been charged up, so I then put it in June's car, and yes, and I thought, what's knocked those gnomes over? Both of them. Put it back where it belongs, and the same with that one. That's where it belongs. Yes, guarding the peanuts. Not very well though. So back in, look at the closed circuit TV, and yeah, it didn't take too long to see when these were knocked over. And right, so looking at the time, that was 6:25 GMT, which is 7:25 in the morning. Yeah, that's when the pigeons start arriving, and in fact it was pigeons competing for peanuts, I think, where one of the gnomes got knocked over. So at the end of the day, lots of things happening, because you had their pigeons and squirrels all competing to get the peanuts, Yeah, right, there's a kerfuffle between two pigeons, and that's where that gnome on the left got knocked over. So that was the pigeons, and there's the squirrel, and then another squirrel arrives. Ah, get out! These are my peanuts. Yeah, so that one shot off, but in the process, that other gnome got knocked over. That's quite a regular occurrence. But the thing is, you can't be sure what it is that's knocked over. It can be foxes, it can be, lots of things. Foxes, hedgehogs, pigeons, and of course occasionally other things. Haven't seen the deer there recently. Well, there's Toady, relaxing. You can hardly see him, but often don't see more than his eyes. And there's a paw coming out, and yes, so just a few snaps around the porch, which is a lot better than it was a couple of weeks ago. And there's the fork handles project. Pretty well done, that one is. And yeah, looking on the spot tracker, that is the one I put in June's car after charging it up. That seemed to be okay, at the right position, near enough. And that's the lounge, of course, Robin's naughty corner. And yes, I take a 1:45, I think that was, on the clock. And so taking a walk down to the village to have a late brunch. Yeah, down into the village and past the Comrades Club and into the Blend and Brew. Yes, nice coffee, and then the main meal came up, and then across to Tesco Express for some essential shopping, a pack of Weetabix, and of course the fruit and nut chocolate. Popped into Comrades Club for a little while, not very long, rest break, and then back home past the flatulent fairy, yeah, with the visiting cards. And yes, put that down in the kitchen, put it in the right place, and check the tracker. Yes, just check it was working. And yeah, there's my movements around in the village, and then back home. 22 Armitage Court, just here, with Toady. Right, so it's now middle of the afternoon, temperature coming up nicely, 18 degrees centigrade. Lovely and warm, pleasant conditions, but also, of course, if there is any little patching jobs. Oh yes, that was the photograph that had been taken, I think, the day before, and I sent that through to the family on the WhatsApp group. They like that. Temperature coming up 16 degrees. And yes, there's the fork handles project. I thought that might be a good place for it, but June can decide when she gets back. Turn the tap on, so I'm filling the pond again. I'd drained it to see where there might be some leaks. There's Toady prowling around, relaxing on the sun lounger. And yeah, so it looks like the pond's full, so I can turn the tap off. And yes, that's it, no water coming out of the hose. And yes, that sprinkler thing's going, and the yes, Toadie's still keeping an eye on what I'm doing, putting the peanuts out, so it's getting a bit later. If you put them out too early, then the birds come down and grab them straight away. Although it seems that the foxes come through in the middle of the day as well. So it looks like I'm going down to the village again. Oh yes, the spaghetti's still not been completely harvested there, still ready for picking. Yeah, down into the village, past the Comrades Club, into the flame kebab, and yes, enjoyed my burger. Yes, Istanbul, that is. Burger and coffee, and then back home. I think I popped into the Comrades Club en route, but I don't know, perhaps not. Anyhow, that was the tracker, show where I went, including getting back home, just here. yeah, 25 past 11, so time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. Saturday the 10th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photo shot. Yes, Gary and Saskia came round, saw the good work in the garden, but yes, including the pond fort number 2 with Toadie relaxing in it, and then walked down to the village and into the Blend and Brew for lunch, and then they took me over to Maidenhead Aquatics, where I got 6 fish as heron bait, yes, to test all the protections we've got. Brought the fish back, followed the instructions, yeah, left the bag floating for a little while and then let them go. Temperature coming up nicely, 22 degrees, and yes, yeah, perhaps we'll let the fish go, so I did. They hid themselves and I didn't see them till, well, much later. A long chat with Alexander, including about my telescope and many other things. I went outside to take a picture of the telescope, and there was Toadie relaxing on the pond, and video chat in the evening, and of course Samantha and June were in Greece, and yeah, you could see exactly where they were. Anybody could. And yeah, a few snaps outside, put the peanuts out, and there's Toadie watching what I was doing. And yeah, they'll take a walk down to the village, and yes, into the Comrades Club. Enjoyed my time there and the conversations. And no pictures, and yeah, anybody could see where I was on the black SOS tracker on the contact page. And got back here, and yeah, time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. So now into all the photos as shot, starting with 10 to 12 midday, temperature coming up to 20, lovely and warm. And yes, there's the 4 candles project, and there's the pond before putting any fish in, and there's pond fort number 2 with Toadie relaxing in it, and Robin's naughty corner, and postman came with a delivery, I think. And there's, yes, Gary and Saskia. So they popped round probably to see if I was managed to look after myself, and got a glimpse of the pond, but they were quite anxious to get off for having a lunch. So walked down to the village, into the Blend and Brew, and yeah, not sure what happened with that photo. And then they drove me over to Maidenhead Aquatics, past the windmill, and yeah, into Maidenhead Aquatics, and I quickly found what I was looking for. There you go, 3 for £20. They look like goldfish, and I also got some koi carp as well, so 3 of each as a decoy for the heron. Well, not a decoy, heron bait. So we're testing all the decoys and everything else with real fish before we get any bigger fish to put in the pond. And yeah, temperature coming up over 21 there. And I will say here, there's Toadie in his pond fort, that we had 6 fish we put in last year, and they all went. Heron obviously got in there without me seeing during the day, I expect. Although you can never be sure, it might have also been pussycats. Alright, long chat with Alexander, and yeah, what was that, 1 3/4 hours. One of the many subjects was my telescope I built as a boy when still at school. And well, my dad did all the metal work, I just did the optics. Yes, and there's looking down, it needs cleaning out, a load of leaves have fallen down it. Anyhow, yeah, temperature above 20, there's Toadie sunbathing on the bridge, looking in, couldn't see any fishes. Oh, that's Bentley decided to come round, probably came round for a late breakfast or something. And yeah, that's in the evening. Video chat, I have an ice cream at the same time. I was probably eating when it started. And yeah, continued on a different table. Yes, looking at discussing where they were. They didn't stay in the place it was the same patch, but in a different, better, whatever you call it, chalet or whatever. Yeah, so putting the peanuts out on the top bridge, and I didn't take any photos, but I did come out with a torch when it was dark, and I did get a glimpse of the fish swimming around, but I didn't see them when I was soon after I put them in. Right, temperature there 15 degrees centigrade, and you can see there's that's during the video chat, I think. You see the timestamp down the bottom, 2037 there, saying, right, I'm off at 2040, it seems, to walk down to the village and go into the Comrades Club, and of course the camera works when it's light, so I have got a picture of that, but I didn't take any there, and of course it was dark coming back. So got back home, checked the tracker. Anybody looking on the contact page would have seen, there's Robin in the Comrades Club, and then getting back home just here. So time for bed. So that's the end of the photo trail. Sunday the 11th of May 2025, starting with a summary of the photos shot that day. Yes, of course, June and Samantha were flying back from Thessalonica in Greece from their tennis holiday, and of course I decided to take a walk round to the Sunninghill library for a meeting with police PCSOs and things. That was Tammy and Keith. Yeah, so a few the snaps of the scenic route through, arrived there, and yeah, interesting chats. Yes, and then they're leaving, so time to walk back. I stopped and bought a bottle of water, and then made my way back into the village. Had a late brunch at the Blend and Brew. Yes, and I could see their flight was making good progress, and then into the Comrades Club and back home into the garden, and there's the little fox cub. Yeah, there's a separate video that I put onto YouTube for that. And yes, so now their plane is landing at Heathrow, you can see that. Then I looked at June's tracker, and to begin with it was still Thessalonica, but that's because she delayed switching it on. And then you could see them arriving, and yes, Toadie saying hello to June, and then prowling around the garden. June's back to her usual routine of watching tennis in the kitchen. My camouflage netting arrived, so I was able to tidy up those 2 pond forts, which to encourage the cats to spend time there. Another deterrent to the heron. Put the peanuts out. Yes, that fox cub video worked, including subtitles. Took a look at the weather coming in. Yeah, some slight showers. Time for bed. So that's the end of the summary. Yeah, a bit blurred, that picture. That was the start. Lovely warm temperatures, 20 degrees centigrade, and yeah, so the usual routine of just little tidying up jobs. And yeah, so the patio's not a bad state now. Yeah, check their tracker, shows them at Thessalonica airport. They got there by taxi, and yes, so off on my walk to Sunninghill Library. It says 31 minutes according to Google Mapping walking. I'm not sure whether that's a brisk march. Over the railway, past St Michael's School, past the Rajvuj and the theatre and the Courts Hall and the post office and the Morris School. Yeah, that's where General Eisenhower had his bunker during the last war. Past Linwood Care Home, and Yeah, it's interesting. It says for sale. Yes, I'm not sure what that was. It made me think. So yeah, so I get there. It's the recreation field and tennis courts, and then the library. And I basically had a chat just there, mostly with Keith about odds and ends, and then they go off, and so time to start my walk back home. But I thought, right, that was the rise, so I thought I'd get a bottle of water and sat on the bench for a little while, refresh myself before setting off again. So coming into the outskirts of Sunninghill village, I thought I'd take Queen's Route Road back past Castleman House and the Jade, or the Jade Fountain as it was, over the railway. Bit blurred that. Yes, 3-1 barbers and other shops. Yes, they're about halfway back on their flight. That was on my smartphone. So having a late brunch in the Blend and Brew, and yeah, keeping an eye on where they were. Oh well, that was me, I think. Anybody could see where I was on the tracker. So popped into the Comrades Club for a little while as well, and then making my way home. There we go. And yes, the robot boat with Snoopy the Viking. So into the house. Yeah, check my tracker. Anybody could see where I was, and including, yeah, Robin's at the library, and then walking back home to, yeah, he spent some time in the Comrades Club, and then got back at 22 Armitage Court, just here. Yes, it's a lot tidier there. 2:10, temperature nice, 22 degrees centigrade. And that bit of bread is to feed the fishes, because we've got 6 fishes I put in. Don't see much of them, plenty of places. And there's that little fox cub. And anyhow, I ended up shooting a video, sat by it, chatting to it quietly. And yes, so that's their flight. Right, they're on approaches to Heathrow now. Just pointing out where we were on that map, but the wind directions were such that they came in from the west, so they didn't fly over us. Right, so they're touching down. Just landed. Yeah, it was a message from June. And yeah, check her tracker, and it was still showing Thessalonica. And I found out afterwards it's because there was a delay before she actually switched it back on, because it's a bit like a mobile phone. You're supposed to switch it on or not have it transmit when it's on board an aircraft. Yeah, so checking the pond and things. Looks like just turned the tap on, and yes, because it does drop by about 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and in slower time. We might find the leak, but it's fine. Right, so there's June's white SOS tracker showing her, only a few minutes from home now. Yeah, there they are arriving, and yes, 4:20. So June can relax on the patio with Toadie saying hello, welcome back, and yes, 10 to 5 in the evening, if you're late afternoon. And yeah, the pond's full, so turn the tap off. Yes. You never know what might show up on photographs. Those fish I'd put in, they hide well under the lilies or whatever, but we've got lots of other alternatives for them. Not so much to hide in, but being protected where you can still see them, but the heron can't get them. Yeah, so there's Toadie prowling around my workmanship in the recent days, and yeah, just took the opportunity of getting some snaps. Oh yes, June pointed out where a good cushion was for that chair, and was under that other stack of chairs. So cushions are a little better now, or all of them are. And yes, there's the camouflage netting has arrived, so I was able to put some of that over the pond forts, so they look a little bit more convincing. Yeah, put things back in the right place. Sorry about it's a bit blurred. That was probably the scissors. And yes, untidy game stream. That's on the list, but one thing at a time. And yeah, I now put in the camouflage netting that was left over in the drawer that had been marked camouflage, even though it had lots of other things. So that's on their list of things to do, which is put things in the right place and make sure the labels are clear, so anybody can find things very quickly and easily. Yes, there's Toady prowling around the pond. Time to put the peanuts out. It's sufficiently late in the day that we won't have too much trouble with the birds taking them all and being at risk to the pussycats. Oh yes, that video had come out nicely on YouTube. Yes, including automatic subtitles. Those are my first words. Try not to wake him, said quietly. And yes, Toadie's relaxing as well. So time for bed, and that's the end of the photo trail. I warned you they'd be long photo trails. So we're now going to go back into the house and run into material that was shot, oh, at least a year or two ago, on two subjects: global warming and the prophetic words of James Lovelock, and my own thoughts about the driver vehicle licensing agency. Yeah, lovely bit of Renoir that is, isn't it? Yes, that's what I'm using. Right, so I think that old video clip started at about here. Now what I put on the screen, because global warming is rare in itself, it's something that's been on my grumpy page for years. The remarkable James Lovelock, who passed away on the 26th of July, his 103rd birthday. I'll read out what this says here. This has been on the grumpy page for years, not long after the publication of his book, Revenge of Gaia. We can't stop global warming, but we may delay it by a few decades to give us time to prepare for its effects. Vast areas of the world, including as close as continental Europe, becoming arid desert, shrinking of habitable areas of the planet to much smaller parts of the planet, closer to the poles. The Earth will then only be able to support a small fraction of its present population, and there will be a need for massive migration. Places like the UK will remain temperate a little longer, so be an attractive destination. We need all world governments to cooperate to prepare for this inevitability. Also to agree things like reduce use of fossil fuels to give us a few more decades to prepare. And then it goes on. The above is not a quote, but how I remember what James Lovelock said in his book, The Revenge of Gaia, etc. That's been unchanged on my site for years. And right, well, the other thing I should mention, yes, retired happy and spending that kid's inheritance, is for some time now I've not been able to drive due to, well, several mistakes at the DVLA. And what I will say is that I have new evidence of what happened inside the DVLA, which I won't publish yet because I'm still waiting for the reply to the letter which was delivered by recorded delivery to the head of the DVLA and also other people. So I'll put in at the end of this long video the video that's gone up, me talking about the DVLA, and basically in summary it's it says I don't want anybody to get into trouble, and that is definitely the case. And resigning is too easy. Problems need to be fixed. But quite honestly, that is a minor thing compared with all the other things that are going on in the world. Not least wars, and of course what's in the background and very important is global warming. So let's run into that. Back in 2012.
Seen the launch of a transatlantic sailing attempt this morning in a model boat. Retired NATO scientist Lovelocks launched his Snoop Loop from Barton-on-Sea towards the Bahamas. It's already been tested over 5,000 miles on a lake in Berkshire. The model will be steered and tracked through a satellite system and by Snoopy, of course, and it should make the crossing in 6 months, if it survives, that is.
The most important thing of the lot, of course, is Snoopy the Viking, the skipper. I don't think he'd make it otherwise. We've also got another bit and piece here. This is a GPS logger that logs the position every 15 minutes.
That was back in 2012. The guy that put this material together, including the live broadcast and what went up on the BBC website, is Ben Moore.
I just worried for Snoopy. Sport now and Hampshire.
Right, on to the next topic. Right. Now, I'm going to do this all in one take. All unrehearsed and unscripted, so sorry about that. What I'd like to happen, if anybody picks up on the DVLA story, is, as I say, nobody getting into trouble, and that's a genuine request. But when they find flaws in procedures where they don't cover certain things, be good if those are fixed. What I think would be useful for anybody looking at the DVLA and perhaps helping them is, first of all, their organisation chart showing the structure. Yes, it's well known who the head of the DVLA, remarkable woman, looking at her CV, and relevant to this story is the head of the health part. But it would be very useful to see, even if names aren't attached, obviously the names can be attached where they're public already, is how many people in each branch, how many people are reporting to how many. So a simple tree would help. I suggest that first of all. Then, perhaps even more important, is how many people working for the DVLA, even if you don't identify the individuals, are salaried by the DVLA excuse me, directly, as opposed to contracted through an agency or a business. That is very important, and we've seen what's been happening in places like the NHS for years. So that comes into the equation in terms of whether money is well spent, and of course the DVLA collects a lot of money, and there are probably other things as well. But as a starting point, I'd hope anybody that responds to this, I can't afford to get overloaded, we've got other things to do, many other things to do, and we'll be taking a holiday. That'll be public, yes. I'm tracked everywhere by different things, and in fact, if anybody's paranoid about it, anybody who's tracking somebody or looking at somebody's probably seen already. But at the end of the day, there's me wittering on, which is one of my main weaknesses since I was a little child. That's why if you put things up, clearly be careful what you put up, and often it can do some good. I'm now in the kitchen, and June's rustling up some food in the microwave for Samantha, and here's Samantha, and of course there's tennis on the television, just for a change. So, oh yes, point out, holidays in we're going off to Sicily again soon, and into the hall. Yes, nice expensive paintings here. Yep, expensive little pocket camera, not expensive. And through into the lounge and out to wrap up this video by saying, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have. So it only remains to say, look after yourselves, stay safe, and enjoy what days we have.